Thank you very much. I was delighted to be asked to speak today, and it is fantastic to see a room full of interested, engaged leaders in industry or politics. I know we have leaders from throughout the North. I know representatives of the North Central Local Government Association are here today, and it's fantastic to see them represented here. I do want to add my thanks and very positive comments to Heather and her team at IPG, and putting together an event like this is a great deal of work, and we just want you to know, and as I said to Heather, it's a lot of work, but it makes a difference. And I don't know about you, but if you're anywhere in British Columbia today, it feels like Prince George and Northern British Columbia is actually the place to be. And from my perspective, it's long overdue, and we couldn't be more excited. So I'm going to actually ask you to indulge me for a couple of minutes. You've been sitting through all of your sessions, and I am going to give you a bit of an overview of the province's economic state, and then what our plan is to make sure that northern BC businesses in particular get their share of the pie, to put it crassly, as we move forward. But before I do that, I'm going to do something because it is really important for you to visually know who's in the room today. And it matters a lot to me because one of the things that I've been a very big advocate for is if you're an elected representative for the province of British Columbia, you need to know the whole province. You actually need to know where Smithers is, or McBride, or Mackenzie. You actually have to physically go there. So I'm going to very quickly, and I'm going to trust my colleagues are going to listen for a minute here. I'm going to call your name, and then I want you to stand up and stay standing, because I need all of you to know that when Premier Christy Clark says she cares about Northern British Columbia, she cares so much that, in fact, we're having a series of meetings here today, and we literally have the vast majority of our caucus here in Prince George doing meetings, meeting with organizations, fanning out and talking to people. So I want you to actually see who they are, because you may hear their names or see them on television, but you may not have a connectivity. So I'm just going to rapid fire go through this. That means when I call you, you have to stand up and stay there for a minute so that people can get a sense of our team. And I want you to know this. This is an exceptional team. They're talented, dedicated. They are the most hardworking, unified group of people that I've had the privilege of working with. And I know if the Premier were here today, she will be later, she would say exactly the same thing. So I'm going to do it quickly, but I want you to see them and meet them. And then you can track them down later. When you have issues with each one of them, you can figure out who they are and then go seek them out. So, Minister of Justice and Attorney General Suzanne Anton, Minister of Education Peter Fassbender, Minister of Environment Mary Polak, Minister of Transportation Todd Stone. And Todd, thank you for being so responsive on Highway 16 and Highway 97 and changing our highways to Class A. We really appreciate that today. Great job. Minister of Advanced Education, Amrik Verk, Mike Bernier, MLA Peace River North, Mark Dalton, MLA Maple Ridge Mission, Simon Gibson, MLA Abbotsford Mission, Scott Hamilton, MLA Delta North, Doug Horn, MLA Coquitlam-Burke Mountain, he is also our Deputy Speaker, Marvin Hunt, the MLA for Surrey Panorama, Linda Larson, the MLA for Boundary Similkameen. I don't know if Richard came in yet, but Richard Lee, the MLA Burnaby North, John Martin, the MLA from Abbotsford, Mike Morris, my new partner here in Prince George, the MLA for Prince George Mackenzie, frazzled because of all the work he's doing on the forum coming up, Linda Reimer, MLA Port Moody Coquitlam, Jackie Taggart, MLA Fraser Nicola, Lori Thronis, MLA Chilliwack Hope, Donna Barnett, MLA Caribou Chilcotin, and Dan Doyle, the Chief of Staff to the Premier. So my colleagues, our team here to learn about the North today, would you give them a warm Northern welcome for me, please? Oh, is that Ralph back there? Is it Ralph? It's Sam. I can't even see with the... So I've made a really big faux pas, and I apologize. We had a list and we were checking. Sam Sullivan is here. He's also one of our MLAs. And I also forgot John Rustad, who I've worked with for I don't know how long. So, all right, John. So Sam, special welcome to you and John as well. I do that because it's important for you to know that we actually believe that the northern part of British Columbia is absolutely critical to the future of our province. And there's no time like the present. And all of us have been directed, encouraged by the Premier to remember that we need to work together across our ministries, across government, to ensure that we don't miss the opportunity that's in front of us. So you get a chance to talk to them later and throughout the course of the next couple of days. But for me, I'm proud that they made the effort to be here, and it's going to be a fantastic couple of days as we go through the forum and a number of other events. So I want to talk to you a little bit about where we are in the province right now, and then I'm going to get down to the specifics of some of the things the Premier's asked us to take on. And I do bring you her regards this morning, this afternoon, I guess. She is working her way up here. She will be the keynote speaker tomorrow. We have a caucus meeting later today, so she is on her way, and I know she would have loved to have been here. The Business Council of British Columbia just released this, and here's the headline. BC's economy and job growth to gain momentum over 2014-2015. The BC Business Council has released its annual BC Economic Review and Outlook for 2014 and expects economic conditions to improve over the next 2 years. This year, the Council forecasts the real inflation-adjusted gross domestic product in BC will increase by 2.3%, a notable improvement from the 2013's estimated 1.4% expansion, and in 2015, BC's economy should accelerate further with real GDP growing by more than 3%. So the other announcement that was released today is that a potential leader is emerging on behalf of the opposition party in British Columbia, and he's leading a tour today and throughout the next number of months called the Declining Futures Tour. Now, I can't begin to point out with any more of a stark contrast the difference in views that we have about British Columbia, despite what economists are saying right across this province, that British Columbia is positioned to lead the country in 2015. We have someone who's going to run a leadership campaign called the Declining Futures Tour. You know, it's actually inexplicable to me. So let me give you a sense of where we're at. And you know, lately we've had a lot of headlines about the status of the jobs plan, the economy, and what are you doing, and how come it's not going faster. But I can tell you this. It takes patience and determination and a plan and sticking to it. Now, there is no doubt that we wished we would have seen job numbers that were more robust in 2013. The fact of the matter is, the economy is still fragile. You just have to look around the world, and the signs of improvement are there. And so while we do our work and wait to see that improvement, the numbers for 2015, if you look at the Forecast Council, the Economic Forecast Council that we rely on, if you look at economists, there was a large conference in Vancouver just recently, all of them are looking at British Columbia very, very optimistically. It doesn't mean you change the plan partway through. In fact, what it means is you buckle down and you work hard, ministry by ministry, working with industry, working within the province to say, our responsibility as the government of British Columbia isn't to create jobs. Actually, there are people who would suggest, and I saw a report recently that says, you know what? Job growth is slower across the country. Government, come on, let's start creating more jobs. Well, you know what? Our job as the government of British Columbia is to create an environment where the private sector is thriving and they create jobs in this province. That's the job of a free enterprise government. And so let me remind you a little bit about why we're in the position we are today. It's because we got the fiscal fundamentals right. It's the foundation you build that attracts investment. And I am so impressed with the companies that are here today who are contemplating investing, who may be in the middle of that investment process as we speak, because they are showing confidence in British Columbia. And why is that? The factors aren't new to you. You are involved in businesses yourselves. But let's be clear. We have a AAA credit rating in British Columbia. Very few jurisdictions can say that. And candidly, we've got to work very hard to make sure we keep the fiscal foundation the priority of this government. It is absolutely critical that we not waver when it comes to making tough decisions and focusing on doing what we said we were going to do. And what we said we were going to do, and with that great team of people that I get to work with every day, I want you to know we are going to balance the budget in British Columbia, and that is something we promised and we're going to deliver on. But as we look at what helps small businesses survive, small, medium-sized, larger businesses, we knew that wasn't the only thing we had to concentrate on. A AAA credit rating, making sure we're growing the economy in the province. We needed to get rid of red tape and regulation. And that remains a priority in our government, despite the fact that we have been lauded across this country for leaders in red tape reduction. It's still a priority. We've reduced red tape and regulation in our government by 43%. And we know there's still more work to be done, because when I meet with you as business owners, you remind me that there's still a bunch of ways that government gets in the way, and we need to continue to focus on red tape reduction in the province. But the signs are encouraging. We still have the lowest personal income tax rates in the country if you earn up to $122,000 a year. And the Conference Board of Canada has recently said that British Columbia will lead the economy in Canada in 2015. So when you think about where we need to be going and what we need to be doing, you know what? It's not about abandoning the plan and saying, well, let's try something else, or let's just take all the taxpayer dollars that we can and pump it into job creation, and let's just raise taxes and do all of those things. We have to make sure we stick to the fiscal foundation that we've built in this province. And it's taken time and hard work and partnership with industry. And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do. We are focused. And I can tell you, the Premier says to us regularly, I want you to be focused like a laser beam on making sure we get the fundamentals right. We remain firm in our principles. And we're not going to abandon the jobs plan. You know, despite all the news that you've heard, we've actually had a net increase in the number of jobs in British Columbia since the jobs plan was introduced, and it exceeds 35,000 new jobs. So we have more work to do, there's no doubt about it. I was very pleased to see, but again, I don't look at what happens in November and then let's compare it to December. We have to look at trends over time. And if you do want to look at December, we didn't get a lot of coverage on this story. We sure got it in November when we were not as high as other provinces. We led the country. We bucked the trend in December and led the country in job growth in December. Is that enough? No. We have to make sure that we're seeing that increase continue over time, and we're going to continue to work on that. Very quickly, you know, when you look at the sectors that you're involved in, if you look at our numbers in forestry, to the end of November 2013, forest exports totaled $10.6 billion, $500,000 higher than all of 2012. So our forest sector continues to recover. And in fact, some fantastic news that the Premier talked about last week, British Columbia's forest industry exported $1.27 billion in softwood lumber to China between January and the end of November of 2013. That is a new record and a 13% increase in exports just over the previous year. So all of the signs are there. The hard work has paid off. Mining, you all know the statistics regarding mining. The production value of mining in 2012 was $8.3 billion. Does anyone remember what it was in 2001? In 2001, it was $2.8 billion. Today we have 19 operating mines, 9 coal and 10 metal. In 2001, there were 15 operating mines, 7 coal and 8 metal. In 2001, exploration spending was $29.1 million. In 2012, it was $680 million. And why does that matter? Because it translates directly to jobs. If we meet the target that we expect we will, 8 new mines will be open and 9 will be expanded by 2015. Why does that matter? It matters a lot to me as the jobs minister, because in fact we will see annual mine operation revenue increase by $1.6 billion. But perhaps from my perspective, just as importantly, about 2,000 construction jobs, 2,000 new direct jobs, and 3,000 indirect jobs. It will also mean we can hold on to important, well-paying family supporting jobs. 12,500 existing jobs will be sustained. That means for us, $150 million of new government revenue. So is the mining sector important to us? You bet it is. But today I want to focus in a little bit on liquefied natural gas. I did want to reference forestry and mining because people tell us, and you hear the critics say, well, they're putting all their eggs in one basket. Well, no, we're not, actually. We're actually working with the forestry sector, the mining sector. We care about tourism in British Columbia. We care about all of the sectors in the province. But if you think for 1 minute we're going to take our eye off the ball when we are in a global race, and others might tell you, well, you know, take your time, think about it. We are in a global foot race to make sure that liquefied natural gas moves ahead in British Columbia. That means we've got to work hard every single day. And I can tell you, Rich Coleman isn't here today, but you know, do we care? You bet we do. We have been directed to work across ministries, and I'm seeing unprecedented cooperation and collaboration between ministers and ministries, and it's paying off. But it matters so much that we have a ministry devoted to ensuring that liquefied natural gas moves forward. And I can tell you, I couldn't think of a better leader for that ministry than Rich Coleman. He's driven, he's determined, and we are at the place of final investment decisions in some cases. And we are working hard to see that happen in 2014 in British Columbia. So what does that mean? When we started talking about LNG, and I have to credit Premier Clark. I mean, she really began to be the leader of this file, and she talked about it, and the whole process began to evolve and emerge. We started talking about the benefits of 5 proposed projects. Well, you know what? We're up to 10. We're up to 10 potential projects in British Columbia as we speak. We're talking about, if you look at the benefits for British Columbians, the potential of $1 trillion, even if 5 of them move forward, $1 trillion in GDP growth by 2046. So does that matter to us? Yes, it does. It is a generational, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the province of British Columbia. And we care about that because it's going to allow us to do some amazing things. We can deal with the whole issue of debt. We can begin to invest. Every day we hear, well, we want more roads, we want more police officers, we want more doctors, we want more training, we want more. This is an opportunity for us to begin to address that in a meaningful way if we can bring home some final investment decisions. So every one of my colleagues in this room is absolutely determined to work as hard as we can to make sure that we move the LNG agenda forward. But I know why you're here today. The question is, how do you capitalize on benefits that will accrue if we can move our agenda forward? And there's 2 ways we want British Columbians, at least 2 ways we want British Columbians to benefit directly. And I can tell you, in my comments, in my conversations, my mandate letter from the Premier, one of them is very clear. And that is, if there are going to be jobs in British Columbia, British Columbians need to be first in line. And I'm working with 2 great colleagues in Peter Fassbender and Amrit Burke to put together a skills training plan. And I'm not going to speak to it directly today because I get to speak tomorrow with Heather. We're going to speak tomorrow and Lori. We're speaking at the resource forum about skills training, so we can talk more specifically about that. But first and foremost, the benefit of any new jobs needs to start with British Columbians. And we're going to work to ensure that we have, particularly those who are currently marginalized or may not be in the jobs market, we want them in the jobs market. But secondly, we want you, businesses in northern British Columbia, in BC, to benefit from any of the investments that are made in our province. So I'm going to very quickly, because I know you've got other things on your agenda, just describe 2 of the specific things that the Premier has asked us to make sure move forward in the province. I'm going to start with one you may or may not be aware of, and some of you are bigger businesses and there's medium-sized businesses. But one of the things the Premier said to us was, we want small businesses in British Columbia to benefit from government procurement. So as we speak, there is work underway in the province. There have been consultations. It's called Small Business Doing Business with the Government. And what we want to do, and the Premier's given us a very significant target, a 20% increase in government procurement that goes to small businesses in British Columbia. And so I'm really pleased with the work that Minister Naomi Yamamoto, my partner in the ministry, has undertaken with regard to this file. An interim report is out, and I urge you to go take a look at it. We talked to small business owners across the province, and you're not going to be surprised at all about what they said to us. Make it easy. Give us information. We're competitive. We can compete. Just help us get the information and give us a system. And let us take advantage of that procurement process. So we're anticipating a final report coming out at before the end of March. I believe Naomi will receive it. And we obviously, that's one of the initiatives where we want to see some improvement in terms of government, where government spends its dollars. But I know what's most pressing at the moment is liquefied natural gas. And how in the world are you going to benefit? Let me give you just an example of a company that's located here in Prince George, and it's an engineering company. They've been located here in Prince George since 1989, but they have deep roots in British Columbia. In fact, they started in Vancouver in 1910, and they have several branches across the province. But in 2004, this company decided that they were going to start working with LNG development, providing services like mapping, surveying, engineering for site development, accessing roads and bridges. Well, over the past few years, they've been working on the Pacific Northwest LNG and BC LNG projects. The LNG business to date has meant they have doubled their business in northern BC. In the last 10 years, the number of people working for this company has risen from 214 to 485. And here in Prince George, they've gone from 12 full-time employees to 32. So let's be clear, the $7 billion already invested in LNG development has a huge impact already for companies like this one. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is an initiative that the Premier announced at the Union of BC Municipalities. And she's been clear with us. We want to figure out how BC businesses can be connected with LNG proponents and companies that are going to invest in the province. So she announced an initiative called LNG by BC. And that particular initiative falls under my portfolio, but obviously working very closely with Minister Coleman and others. And we appointed an advocate. And Gordon Wilson has been appointed as our advocate. And his job is to do the homework. His job is to have conversations with people like you all across northern BC and the rest of the province to figure out how we are going to make sure that you have access and connectivity to those companies that are going to invest. His job is to create awareness. It's to develop a platform. And I have to tell you, I want to congratulate Janine North and some of the work that's been done here at NDIT. Exceptional work already underway that matches the demands that investors have with the companies that can take advantage of that. So we actually had Gordon come up and take a look at that very model and say, how can we look at a system that is equally as effective? We want one place that you, as a supplier, can go to find out what the needs of LNG proponents in our province are. So that work is well underway, and in fact, I believe that today Gordon is in Terrace and Prince Rupert doing his work, but he's been in Quesnel recently to Prince George several times. So that work will evolve over time, and you will have the opportunity at some point to become part of an online registry where you will be able to lay it out for proponents, what it is you have to offer. And those proponents will be able to take advantage of that one-stop shopping location to connect BC businesses to our LNG opportunities. So those are just two of the specific initiatives related to procurement, which is what you're here to talk about today. So our government recognizes that businesses like yours, and whether you're located in the Northeast, the Northwest, the central part of the province, the Cariboo, the Kootenays, you have something to offer, and we want to make sure that you benefit from what's going to happen in British Columbia. The last thing, I want to invite you. There is a conference on LNG, very exciting. It's our second one. It will be in Vancouver on May 21st to 23rd. There will be, the title of it is Powering a Strong Economy, BC's LNG in the Global Market. It will be a conference, it will be a trade show, and the piece I'm really excited about is there's going to be an interactive career fair for youth at that conference. So in summary, unprecedented opportunities, not just for big business, but for businesses in British Columbia, for people who are not currently in the job market. We have billions of dollars, as you heard referenced in Heather's remarks, underway in British Columbia, many of them focused in northern BC, and further billions in preparation. So we want British Columbians to benefit. We want them to be first in line for the jobs. We want to make sure our businesses are able to benefit. That means we have to give you information. We need to give you a platform for connection, and that's what we're going to do. And I know this. Our team is working tirelessly, and there's just one reason we're doing that. We believe that a strong economy is what drives a secure tomorrow. We told you we were going to focus on that when we were lucky enough to be returned to office in May of 2013. We remain committed to it, and I can hardly wait to see what the next year or two holds for Northern British Columbia and the province of British Columbia. It's going to be an exciting ride. Make sure you're on the bus. Thanks a lot for having me here today. I'm delighted to have been here.